What's up, cannabis community? Jennifer Johnson here, and welcome to another episode of Your Week in Weed, your weekly source for the top stories I find interesting each week in cannabis. Jumping right in here because, one of my favorite industry rags, and I do say that affectionately, Marijuana Business Daily last week reported that edibles outperformed or outsold flower in 2020, and I had to take a double glance because honestly it was what? But after some additional thought, it actually wasn't surprising given all the pros versus the very few cons this form of consumption has. So in this week's episode, I want to share with you a few things. My 3 Ps for edibles that will kind of up your edible game, what the industry is focusing on for 2021 and moving forward in the edibles market. And finally, I'm going to give you my #1 tip for getting your edibles to hit you a little quicker. So with all of that said, grab your stash, grab your lighter, grab your rig and torch, and let's talk about weed, shall we? Okay, again, in an article from MJBizDaily.com last Tuesday, they reported that sales of adult use medical edibles grew a whopping 60% across the 7-state well-established market consisting of California, Colorado, Massachusetts, what up Denise, Michigan, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. Now, the article goes on to say that in large part the reason for the increase, which I agree with to a certain point, was due to both new and mature customers are trying edibles for the first time, and consumers are slowly and not surprisingly shying away more and more from the inhalable products, which, speaking of, but let me add in an additional observation, and I apologize for the construction. If I waited, these videos would never happen. So let me offer you another observation for you, which is legacy users like myself and many of you watching this with the expansion of the edible market into a broader inventory are finding that old adage of if some is good, more must be better is actually wrong, and are slowly discovering that microdosing is indeed an amazing way to manage pain, anxiety, relaxation, or a great tool to use as fuel for activity, productivity, creativity, or honestly all of the above, which is a perfect lead-in into what I like to call the 3 Ps for edibles. Here we go. #1 is patience. The #1 rule to edibles is patience. And even those of you, including myself, who are new to the game are even known for your lack of it when it comes to edibles. And many of you, and when I didn't know, including myself, may not be getting the full benefits that this form of consumption has, because we often think that because our tolerances are so high, we think we need more and often consume, which feeds into the industry myth that all edibles do or are good for is to make you sleepy or lazy. Now let me just mention, with the increase in sales, companies are currently working at honestly a frenzied pace to introduce rapid delivery products. But until then, I recommend, and whether you're a new or novice, I urge you to adopt the new industry adage of start low and go slow, and see how the different products feel as you go about your normal activity routine or doing new activities, which is a perfect timing, almost like it was planned, to lead me into #2, which is indeed plan. Okay. I have become a sucker for mindful drug use. And before you roll your eyes, and say boring, I simply mean mindful in the sense of if you're going to consume for relaxation, with edibles plan to be in a relaxed mindset and setting. And I know that seems easy, but it's often overlooked and causes most of the issues. Or alternatively, if you consume for pain, anxiety, relaxation, or for no other reason than you need to get a little help throughout the day, which is perfectly okay. Just in case you needed someone to tell you that. Consume the drug, edibles in this case, and go about with your plan for the day. And then once again, see if it's beneficial. Add more if needed, and then have a little more patience. Waiting around for the drug to kick in is only going to propel you to eat more and overconsume, which leads me to my final tip. Number 3, purpose. All right, you can roll your eyes here a little bit if you want, but I sense most of you are savvy enough to know that you are already had a purpose for turning to the drug in the first place, right? Whether this was for fun or relaxation, pain, depression, anxiety, escape, whatever it may be, I urge you to go into any edible dose with a set purpose of either relief, creativity, or just spend good times with old and new friends, whatever that looks like for you right now. But go into the dose with the knowing what you want to consume, or I'm sorry, what you want to accomplish with that session. So those are my 3 P's. And now I promised you at the beginning a tip for getting your edibles to hit you a little quicker. And again, new or novice, I don't care. Going into a dispensary is an overly visually stimulating environment. So regardless if you're a rec or med patient, I want you to just go in and zoom in on the chocolates and mints area for this. The chocolates and mints are the easiest to let dissolve under your tongue, right? You probably heard sublingually is what that's called. And this will allow for rapid absorption of the drug, and you get to bypass waiting for your stomach to process what's in it, and then it allows the absorption to begin. I have found chocolates are particularly easy to cut up from the med side because you can manage what is a microdose for the med patients. But oftentimes, I will just hop on over to the rec side and purchase already properly dosed mints and chocolates just for ease. And then, of course, have to resist the temptation to chew down and simply let it all dissolve under your tongue. And instead of waiting around 45 minutes to an hour, you can cut that time down from around 10 to 25 minutes from personal experience. So, let's move on to the future of edibles, shall we? Honestly, the future for edibles is pretty vast and exciting, and new ways to consume the product are showing up almost every time I visit a dispensary. But based on a little research, it shows that the #1 focus in the edible market for 2021 and beyond is certainly that rapid delivery method of the drug, but also making edibles that are natural for those of you who have allergy or intolerances, or for those of you who choose the healthier lifestyle. Companies are focusing actually now more on strain-specific edibles. And instead of trying to hide or mask the notorious taste, companies are now actually trying to enhance the flavor and tangle with your taste buds a little bit like they would with a fine cheese and wine session. Story. I personally have looked into classes and want to become a connoisseur. And a connoisseur is someone who knows all the ins and outs of various strains and the history of strains and the area from where the strains and terpenes come from and the farmers and what are the best foods and terpenes and strains to match alcohol in certain dishes. I am already a huge huge strain nerd, so this sounds perfect for me. So I am curious, what is your favorite way to consume an edible? And what recommendations would you have for those new people who are entering the market? Or alternatively, if you haven't tried them yet, or if you tried them a few times and had nothing but bad experiences, why haven't you tried them again? Very curious, and I'm sure many of you are. So let me know below. And if you are still in the cannabis closet, which so many unfortunately are, please always feel free to slide into my DMs at any point. Now a quick announcement, I will be showing you next Monday in my Instagram stories how I use edibles throughout my day and what products I use. So be sure to check it out right here on my page if you're watching this after the 25th of January or on one of the many other platforms. I will be creating a highlight button on my Instagram page that you can go check out right now at Re-gal-i-zation on the gram. So that will do it for this week's episode of Your Week in Weed. I hope you all have a great weekend and a wonderful week ahead, and we will see you next week. Please, if you see something interesting that you think I need to know about, or you have something coming up that you would like to announce to the cannabis community, please let me know. Until then, spark something good. Bye.